Now, some of you might have a ukulele at home. A ukulele is this wonderful instrument with 4 strings, and some of you might have an iPad at home where there's usually a program called GarageBand installed. I'll help you to make music with both of them. First the ukulele, then the iPad, so that you can do something like this. I'm going to be playing the blues. Now, I'll use 1 string to do the solo. Let's see if you can see what the final product should look like. So my iPad is playing a backing track so I can play along with it, something like this. So now I'm going to use my ukulele, and I'm going to use this string here. So if you're holding it up like that, it's the G string. The G string is the one that's closest to your chin when you're holding it. I'm going to use it first with 0 fingers and then 1 finger on the 3rd fret. Not the 1st fret, not the 2nd fret, not the 3rd fret. Yes, the 3rd fret. So I'm going to do 0, 3, 0, 3, 0, 3. And that sounds like this. Now, if you're pushing down, you have to make sure you're pushing down all the way down. Otherwise, it sounds like that if you're not pushing all the way down. So you have to push down. And that's a 0, 3. I get a new instrument here, and that's my audio recorder. And I want to do, this is for plugging in instruments. It's a little bit more complicated, so I use voice and record it acoustically. Now, anything I record acoustically will also pick up any sound that the iPad is making. So I need to use some headphones. And you can't hear what's coming out of the iPad, so I'll just count in. 2, 3, 4. Now I can bend the string. Now I can play with the sound a little bit. I'm going to change the lead vocal sound to, let's try heavy distortion. Ooh, got my voice in there too. Excellent. And I want my solo on the ukulele, my 2-note ukulele solo, to be a little bit louder. So I changed the mixing. I'll show you how I did that again. I just kind of drag that in like that. And I want this to be louder. I can bend the string. Now I'll show you so that you don't get stuck with just 0s and 3s. Something else that makes it sound bluesy is the 5 and the 7. Fret number 3 has no dot. You have to kind of count or just see that that's the 3rd fret. But 5 is usually their 1st dot, and 7 is your 2nd dot. So you're doing 0, 3, 5, 7, 5, 3, 0, 0, 3, 5, 7, 5, 3, 0. Now if you do it with different fingers, it usually helps you to learn how to do it faster. And together with the other hand. And if you bend them, then it has a fun feel to it as well. So put them with some backing track and you got something like this. And you can add the 3, 5, 6 in there, and it might sound kind of like this. Now, there's an alternative to what we were just doing. That is more of a blues scale. And I'll show you the blues scale or a blues scale on the ukulele. And starting with the 0, 3 on the G. And the tricky thing about a ukulele is these are actually higher notes than what come after it. And then you do. Now that's 0, 3 on the G string. Then you switch strings to the C string and you're doing 0, 1, 2. 0, 1, 2. 0, 3, 0, 1, 2. 0, 3, 0, 1, 2. And then we've got 1, 3, 1, 3. So from the bottom, you're doing 0, 3. Next string is 0, 1, 2. Next string is 1, 3. And the last string is 1, 3. And smoothly, it will sound like this. 0, 3, 0, 1, 2. 1, 3, 1, 3. Today we're going to put on a backing track on GarageBand for the 8-bar blues in G. So we're going to do a new thing. Now, you can decide what instrument you want to start with, but I'm going to start with the strings today. Strings aren't usually the ones you think of when you do the blues, so I just chose smart strings, and this is usually going to start out in the key of C, and we want it to be in the key of G, so we have the chords we need. So we go up to the settings, and we want to have the key signature be D major instead of C major. So I go up to G, and now I've got it in the right key, and I have the 3 chords that I need. I've got the G, and then I've got the C and the D right here in the middle. So next thing I want is an autoplay. Let's see if we can change this to pop. Pop sounds good. And now let's see what we got. There we go. All right, now we're going to stop it. And let's try to have a metronome beat. See, this metronome keeps the time, but it's a little faster than I want to be able to practice with. So I'm going to go back up to settings and change the tempo and bring that down so we have a nice slow tempo. I'll do somewhere around 80, and that gives us the tempo that we might want. And let's record. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, C, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, second half, D, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4, D, 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 then it repeats. Good. Now we want to add another track to it, so we go up here to that icon, which is going to give us a choice of new instruments. Let's add the bass to it. Same chords, and let's see what we've got. That's nice and simple. I'm ready to go. Start on G. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, G, 2, 3, 4, D, 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 and that's on there now. Good, now I want to try a new instrument. Let's add the guitar. And got my 3 chords there. Nah, I want some rock. Let's see what happens if I do this. Back to the beginning. Now, if I make a mistake, I've always got this undo arrow here. So if I go 2, 3, 4, oh, oops, undo. And that part that was recorded is undone. So it's not really a big deal if something doesn't work out. And here we go with the guitar. 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 3, 4. Now I've got all those. So let's see what I can add. You know what? I want another guitar. I want to have the roots rock at the same time. What will that sound like? Excellent. That gives it a little country sound to it. And 1, 2, 3. Here we go with G. 2, 3, 4. Instead of having the metronome keep the tempo, we want to have some drums. So let's add some drums. Drums look like this, and we'll do smart drums for right now. That way I don't have to have much coordination. I want to have a kick, and I want to keep it mostly simple, and hi-hat, and maybe a snare, and there we go. Let's maybe throw some cymbals in there. Well, quiet and simple. And a shaker can be in there. There we go. 1, 2, 3, and then it does it for me. And now I'll take the metronome off, and it's got the beat. So now I can see what it looks like in my different layers. I've got my strings and my bass, 2 guitars, and a drum machine keeping the beat. So
I'll spin the string.